So from one light topic on China to another around climate, biodiversity, health. Just a quick show of hands. Whose organizations or companies have made commitments or taken action on carbon? Okay. How many have taken action or made commitments around plastic? Oh, more than I would have expected, so thank you for that. Well, I'm still going to start with a little bit. I know they probably said there wasn't going to be math or quizzes, but I'm going to give you a quiz on a few points just to dimensionalize the crisis, the challenge, and the opportunity. So how much plastic has ever been produced in the world? Anybody scream it out?
A lot.
8.7 billion tons of plastic produced over time. You can't even conceptualize it. And just to be clear, I'm not saying that's a bad thing in the main. Plastic is an amazing invention. It's brought food security to poor communities all over the world, medical devices that save lives every day, right? How much just this year has been produced? $465 million tons. So the important thing there is that's about 5% of the total. So just think about that as a trajectory of growth relative to 8.7 billion over basically 100 years. How much ends up in nature each year of that 465?
Most of it.
No, actually it doesn't. It's only, and I will say only, 10 million tons. And the reason is much of it goes into landfill or it gets incinerated. And that doesn't count as going into nature, even though it's a petroleum product, and burning it isn't necessarily a good thing either. And many landfills, while they are managed landfills in the US, our recycling rate in the US has gone down from 8 or 9% in past years to more recently below 5%. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. But most importantly, this 10 million tons, most of it ends up in open pits that then degrades or it goes straight into rivers and oceans. And so one of the scariest statistics that you will hear is that by 2050, there will be more plastic in the ocean by weight than fish. And if you're a scuba diver like me and you go scuba diving in some of the remote, beautiful places in the world, and the sun is shining, and you see this amazing sort of multicolor, kaleidoscope while you're diving, and you say, wow, that's beautiful, and then you look closely and you realize it's the light from the sun refracting through microplastics in the ocean. So we're finding it in the Antarctic ice shelf, we're finding it in all our fish, we're even finding it in human fetuses at this point. We don't actually fully understand the implications of all of this. And then finally, for the carbon-focused folks in the room, plastic is a petroleum product, as I said. So how much does it contribute to carbon emissions? At least 5%. It's really hard to tell for sure because there are many various types of plastics produced in various ways. Some are recycled, but even the recycling has a carbon footprint, et cetera, et cetera. But it is a significant contributor to the warming of the planet as well as being a crisis in its own right, sort of a Venn diagram of the two. So what you will hear out there around this topic is a lot of discussion from a lot of people. We need to reduce. We need to eliminate single-use plastics. Absolutely. We need to go to refillable solutions. Absolutely. We need to increase infrastructure and recycling. Absolutely. But we also need to deal with the problem today. So the picture behind this is we need to look at the forest and the trees. So we have all of these efforts underway, innovation around alternative materials, bioplastics, innovations around refillable solutions. How long does it take? What percent of the total plastic application and use cases will be addressed by refillable solutions? Maybe 20%. How long will it take to change supply chains? So we need to solve the problem today and tomorrow. And we can do these things simultaneously. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. The problem is, and this was to the discussion this morning, our little roundtable breakfast discussion, it's an incredibly fragmented and inefficient marketplace right now. You've got producers and consumers of plastic, many of whom are well-intended and want to do the right thing, but don't have an avenue to do it. I talk to many companies who say, can you just get us more recycled feedstock that we can increase the amount of recycled content in our products? And the answer is no, I can't, because the infrastructure isn't there. There's over $1 trillion of infrastructure missing on the collection, transportation, and recycling, particularly in emerging markets. And then on the other side, you've got project providers who would love to do the work, but they have no capital, they have no economic incentives, and there's no structure within which to do it, because you need standards, you need certification, you need traceability, et cetera. So that's where we come in. We believe that the problem of plastic waste entering nature now can be solved, like now. Like we can eliminate that 10 million tons of plastic entering nature today, and we can even start eating into the debt of plastic that is out there in nature. But it takes economic incentives, and not much. Just to dimensionalize it a little bit, for a nickel, you can clean up a kilogram of plastic. Collect it, put it in the right place, recycle it where it can be recycled, otherwise manage it more properly. So how does it work? Very simple. Everybody's heard about offsetting in carbon. We are doing that in plastics. You start by baselining your footprint, understanding what your starting point is, net of recycling, net of reduction. You set goals. Do you want to be net zero? We have a net zero eco label, as you see here on the right. And then we activate our ecosystem of partners all over the world who are doing the work. And you fund that through the purchase of these credits. And then that feeds the collection, the transportation, and any other activity to properly manage that waste. We've been doing this for a few years. We already have 5 of the top 10 consumer packaged goods companies that are partners, but on too small a scale. We even have government agencies like USAID and others. Some of these players are supporting projects. They're also investing in the infrastructure to expand these projects or to invest in community-based collection like the one on the right here, which are these female micro-entrepreneurs in the Philippines who get additional income by collecting plastic waste from the local community, aggregating, sorting, and then the program takes that plastic off to a recycling center on their behalf. We have launched, and my background is in technology and in branded marketplaces, so we have launched what I sort of refer to as the Airbnb of plastics. The idea is, let's remove the friction. Let's make it as transparent, as verifiable, and as easy to use as possible to take action. And so you can come onto our platform, pcxmarkets.com. You can browse projects by simply signing up with an email, by price point, by plastic type, by geography, et cetera. And then you can literally stick it in your basket and check out and drive that impact. And then more importantly, or as importantly, and David gave me criticism for this, or he was poking at me for this, we use blockchain. No, we're not a crypto company. We actually use blockchain for what it was originally intended, for traceability. It is an immutable ledger. So every project that we list has to go through a certification process to ensure what they're doing has additional impact over what would have happened otherwise, has the right labor standards in place. One of our projects actually has taken an informal waste picker community and turned them into full-time employees with medical benefits. And then we trace on the blockchain the collection, and that's the beautiful thing about plastic versus carbon. It is really hard to calculate the carbon sequestration effect of planting trees that 30 years from now will produce some impact. You need a PhD in mathematics and some religion for that. With plastic, you pick it up, you scan it, you weigh it, you transport it, you scan it, you weigh it, you recycle it, you scan it, you weigh it, and you're done. And it is verified, and it is a claim that any company can make with confidence. And we have all of that on our blockchain ledger, all publicly available for anybody to look at. And you can see the certificates that are then produced for each participant. Okay, 2 more pages here quickly. One is, we're really proud of the impact we've had, but the image on the screen is very intentional. We're just getting started. This, 33 million kilograms, that's not a drop in the bucket yet. We need more projects, we need more liquidity, we need market-based forces to drive scalability in the investments in the capital as well as the OpEx. And with that, I would just encourage all of you to visit pcxmarkets.com. You can register with an email, take action. If you want to learn more, you can go to plasticcreditexchange.com, where we have more about our standards, and you can learn about all the projects that we're supporting. And that's it. Thank you.